Unfortunately, there was no one to advise them otherwise. Except for one, but for other reasons. As Cieza relates, Alcon requested that the captain let him stay. Francisco, knowing that he was drunk and in love with the host, did not allow him. To his negative answer, Alcon began to shout, "Swineherder! This land belongs to my brother, the king. You are usurping their lands from these good Indians." He got hold of a broken sword and attacked Francisco. Bartolomé Ruiz, the settler of previous deadly contests, hit him with an oar, leaving the amorous Spaniard unconscious. Crazy in love with one of Peru's women, Alcon was sent to the lower decks to cool off. Francisco continued north, stopping in Talara where he left Guinez, a mariner, so that he could learn their language. The town leader gave him in return 2 youngsters. Cieza says that one of them was Felipillo, our famous compatriot who in time became the infamous translator who stirred up the fall of the empire. The adventurers continued to Tums, where they exchanged worthless European gadgets for exquisite textiles, jewelry, and some llamas, which Francisco would take to Spain. Not wanting to prolong their return, they navigated to Punta Santa Elena where their leader came aboard. The captain used the opportunity to tell the noble to accept a new master. Right below them was imprisoned Alcon, who upon hearing the interchange of words, and perhaps not as crazy as Cieza thought he was, began to shout, "Indian brother! Do not believe him. All of them are liars. They are coming to subjugate your people and rape your women." The curaca didn't need any translation, but to observe the actions of Alcon against his own comrades. Francisco told the noble that he was mentally unstable, and not to mind him. To these days, anyone who speaks on behalf of the Indians is considered like Alcon, a buffoon. Perhaps, from the pages of Cieza, we should revive this sensible man to show the other face of the Spaniards who are not all wicked. But the cries of the people like him will always fall on the deaf ears of the masses. With enough natives as translators, golden artifacts, textiles, llamas, and the heavy silver vase, they navigated to Panama. The second expedition had ended in the final weeks of March 1528 within the allotted time that Francisco was given to finish the task of finding Peru. In Panama, after recounting their incredible tales and showing the objects given to them, the partners still had no support from Pedro de los Rios. They were out of funds. The money from the sale of the silver vase served only to pay their debts. Almagro and Luque. We have evidence of a civilization, and the governor is not going to help us. Someone should go to see Carlos V. Father Luque, you must go and represent us. As a man of God, they will not distrust you. Francisco, I cannot go do of my priestly duties. And you, Almagro? Forget about me. I lost an eye. I just don't look impressive enough. Besides, they are not going to listen to a man from the unknown village of Almagro. How about you, Francisco? Luque, can you imagine me in the courts of Spain? I am a soldier of fortune. I would not do too well with those nobles. If none of us wants to go, we have to send a representative, preferably a man of letters. Corrales is going to Spain. He has also invested in our expeditions and he is a lawyer. Father Luque. That is out of the question. Here we have Francisco, the man who spent more time than any of us suffering all the misfortunes that God created on earth. No one could tell of all that he went through to get to the land of the Incas as well as he would. Only he can express how it feels to be in perpetual hunger, and constantly facing death. Even if he is not a learned man, Pizarro has to go. I don't care if he is named the governor of Peru. He is our man. Almagro, I have a feeling that if only one of you is present, something is going to happen. I urge that both of you go. The courts in Spain are very peculiar in their capitulations, they may end up favoring the one who is there. Father Luque, we all have contributed to the enterprise. I can't imagine any one of us be so disloyal as to betray the partners. Especially when there is still so much to be done before the conquest becomes a reality. I say that Francisco be named governor of what he has so far discovered, and I to have the title of adelantado, advancer, to continue exploring from the limits of his governorship, Chincha. There must be plenty of territory down to the tip of the southern hemisphere where Magellan reached on the Atlantic side in 1520. Almagro. You are already dividing the lands that we don't even possess. We have to discuss what we all want in the event of a capitulation. Father Luque, the bishopric of Tums would be an appropriate investiture for a man of God. Almagro. I was not asking about me. How about the others? For the men of fame, they deserve the same titles of honor as others nobles who have received accolades for lesser feats. For Bartolomé Ruiz, nothing less than the Admiralty of the Southern Seas would be an appropriate title for having been the first to cross the equator.